Part 16. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 151. But the assassin came in vain. The guards at the princess's mansion became even tighter after Fukang made some adjustments. The assassin would be discovered before he even got close to Dongshang Pavilion, and would be killed or captured. Therefore, Chu Qinghuang didn't have to worry about the assassin at all. He had heard that even so, Lu Jun and Fu Zi's shadow guards will take care of it themselves. After lunch, Fukang brought Chu Qinghuang's ebony piano. Chu Qinghuang no longer cared about the earth-shattering changes outside, and only seriously taught Fukang how to control qi with sound. This required profound internal strength, so it was not difficult for Fukang. At least it's much easier to understand than playing chess. Chu Qinghuang taught carefully, and Fukang studied seriously. No matter who asked to see him throughout the afternoon, Chu Qinghuang disappeared and stayed in the courtyard of Dongshang Pavilion to practice piano skills with Fukang. However, the high level of internal energy cultivation means that even the smallest sound can have a great effect. Several people staying in the Zishang Pavilion felt the fluctuation of the strong airflow, and came over to watch the excitement. When they saw Chu Qinghuang actually teaching when Hongyu was playing the piano, she felt as if she had seen a ghost in broad daylight. "Your Highness taught Fukang how to play the piano." Fukang looked at him expressionlessly, his eyes seeming to say, "What do you think?" Hongyu became jealous again. "Your Highness is so partial, why don't you teach me?" Chu Qinghuang ignored this question at all. After hearing too much, she just thought it was a child making trouble unreasonably, and he didn't even bother to look at it. But Fukang wanted to throw him out. Hongyu Qiling said quietly, "Do you want the rain and dew to reach the palace evenly?" Hongyu pouted, "I am infatuated with His Highness, but His Highness gave all his love to Fukang. This is unfair." "You are very courageous to talk about fairness in front of Her Royal Highness the eldest Princess Wen Zhan teased. Why don't you talk about fairness with Feng Jinzi?" Hongyu frowned, "He is almost dead, should I talk to him about fairness? Am I sick?" "So you're not sick," Zhongjin laughed. Hongyu glared at him, "Zhongzongjin, what do you mean?" "Shut up, everyone." Chu Qinghuang looked indifferent. "Qiling stays, the others kneel down." Kurha looked shocked. "Wen Zhan's favor is indeed short-lived," Zhongzongjin said slowly. "He fell out of favor even before he was favored. Qiling doesn't know how long it can last." Kurio snorted, "I bet it won't take more than a day." Chu Lingchuan's eyes fell on Fukang's face, thoughtfully. His Highness wouldn't really have taken a liking to this shadow guard, right? Apart from his good looks, is there anything else special about Fukang? If it is about strong skills and loyalty to their master, then most of the well-trained shadow guards, whether it is Ziki or Dongling, meet such standards. Could it be because those near the water and the towers get the moon first? "Master ordered you to go back." Fukang raised his eyes and said in a cold tone, "Didn't you hear that?" Hongyu pouted and muttered in a low voice, "Being arrogant due to favor, a fox pretends to be a tiger's power, and the villain succeeds." However, whether it was because of pride or because of the power of a fox, Her Royal Highness the Princess could not disobey the order. The few people who came excitedly quickly bowed and left, turning around and leaving. Only Qiling stayed and spoke respectfully, "Your Highness, do you have anything to say?" Chu Qinghuang said, "I heard that you are both civil and military and good at running an army." "Heard? Listen to who?" Qiling glanced at Fukang, and then nodded slowly, "I have indeed been familiar with the art of war for a while. I want you to join the Silver Armor Army." Qiling was silent for a moment. His Royal Highness has just obtained the power of the Silver Armored Army. It is time to strike while the iron is hot to establish power, and the rebellion is about to be suppressed. There was no counterinsurgency. "Well?" Qiling was slightly surprised, "Didn't you suppress the rebellion?" The news about the rebellion in Jinghu Mountain is false. The purpose is to hand over the military power of the Ling family to this palace, Chu Qinghuang said lightly, so the next time this palace will lead the army is not to lead troops to suppress the rebellion, but to its training for the silver armored army. You go back and make a detailed training plan and hand it over to me tomorrow. Qi Ling was silent for a moment. Can the villain know this fake news? The emperor's idea has nothing to do with me, Chu Qinghuang said. You don't have to worry about the blame that I will get for false reports. You don't have to worry about anything I do. Qi Ling is not worried. What he wanted to say was that if this matter was done by His Highness, then he could secretly solve the upcoming trouble for His Highness, but since it was the Emperor's handiwork, he naturally did not need to worry about it. Yes, Qi Ling agreed, I will make a training plan now. In addition, the generals at all levels in the military camp need to make more detailed adjustments. Please pay attention to me during the future training, Chu Qinghuang said calmly. Generals, those who are capable will be in charge. All those who are cheating will be kicked out by me. Qi Ling was silent for a moment. Why does your highness trust me so much? Chu Qinghuang looked at him calmly. You were recommended by Fukang. Qi Ling. So he should thank Fukang? Take those dandies from the prince's family to the military camp and train them alone, Chu Qinghuang said in a cold tone. Within 3 months, I will see the results of the training. Qi Ling touched his nose and found that trusting someone would directly lead to a sharp increase in that person's workload. Although it is said that a capable person has a lot of work, you can at least give him a period of time to adapt and examine first. If His Highness finds that his abilities are limited and not enough to take on such a big responsibility, will he be punished by military law in a rage? After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 152. No matter what he thinks, he still has to do it. Qi Ling was the first to become the most respected general among the several servants in the backyard. He took on the extremely sacred and difficult task and respectfully resigned. Your Highness, Lu Jun came quickly and reported with clasped fists. The fifth prince and his men forced their way into the eldest princess's residence. Please make a decision, Your Highness. Chu Qinghuang's expression was indifferent. Let him break in. Lu Jun was stunned for a moment, then lowered his head. Yes. It's enough to stop them a little. There's no need to clash head-on with them, Chu Qinghuang said calmly. He wants to add fuel to the fire, so I will naturally give him this opportunity. Lu Jun immediately understood what she meant and followed the order. Originally, it was their duty to follow the orders of Her Royal Highness the eldest princess and stop all intruders, but the other party was the prince, and the guards did not dare to attack the prince, unless the eldest princess ordered a fight. Chu Qinghuang's order just relieved the guard from the dilemma. Fukang, Chu Qinghuang ordered casually, ask Fuying to go to the Eng and tell the head of the Eng that the fifth prince and his men forced their way into the eldest princess's mansion, injured the guards of the eldest princess's mansion, and caused trouble. Taking advantage of his brother's status, he insulted the eldest princess and asked the head of the Dark Pavilion to report the matter to the emperor truthfully. Fukang accepted the order. Yes. Chu Qinghuang sat under the sycamore tree in the yard, picked up a cup of fragrant tea on the tea table at hand, and leaned under the tree to meditate. The life of concubine Duan and her son would not be easy in the future. She should take advantage of the situation and raid the Ling family. Should we completely push mother and son into the mud, or should we deal with the Feng family first? Chu Tianyan and the Feng family haven't come out to play around this time, so she seems to have no reason to take the initiative. Although it is not impossible to create an excuse, she is the eldest princess and must be reasonable and cannot always think of bullying others. So we decided to deal with the Ling family first. Chu Qinghuang sighed. She could imagine how the courtiers would verbally criticize her after the Ling family was destroyed, even her own mother and uncle. Is she still a human being? Chu Qinghuang. There was a roar of rage, and the visitor hurriedly stepped into the courtyard of Dongshang Pavilion. His face was ashen and gloomy, and he looked at her with fire-like eyes, as if looking at an sworn enemy. What kind of madness have you got? What happened to the Ling family? Offended? What do you want to do? Do you want to make everyone in the world call you a devil and a madman? Chu Qinghuang looked up slowly. Chu Tianzheng really looked like a fire-breathing dragon. Oh no, it should be said to be a fire-breathing beast. And it's still an out-of-control beast. A rather handsome face was full of fury. He looked at her with eyes that seemed like he wanted to tear her into pieces on the spot. His hands were clenched into fists, as if he would punch her whenever he disagreed. Chu Qinghuang took a sip of tea. Look, it's not that she actively wants to bully people. Although the road to the throne of the emperor will definitely offend many people and make many enemies, if these people don't take the initiative to provoke her, she is actually very particular about the demeanor of a gentleman. Chu Qinghuang, are you deaf? Chu Tianzheng saw her expression of neither surprise nor anger. Thinking of the chaos outside, he was so angry that he really wanted to kill her alive. What on earth do you want to do? Chu Qinghuang said calmly, what do you want to do when you bring people to my palace and make a fuss? I'm here to challenge you, can't you hear me? Chu Tianzheng said coldly, and he was so angry that he had already lost his mind. You do whatever you want and act tyrannically with the little power your father gave you. Chu Qinghuang, you are that's too much. Not only did you seize my uncle's military power, but you also killed his generals. Do you want to rebel? Chu Qinghuang leaned against the tree trunk and drank a cup of tea slowly, as if he didn't want to pay attention to this person at all. However, the more she behaved like this, the more she angered Chu Tianzheng. He shouted angrily, Chu Qinghuang, I'm talking to you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 153. There's nothing wrong with my ears. Chu Qinghuang raised her eyebrows, looking at him with eyes full of mockery. It's just that you look like you've taken rat poison at this time, which is really detrimental to the prince's demeanor. I'm thinking about what should be done. Are you going to throw it out or ask someone to come over? Chu Tianzheng was furious, you are simply a devil. Female Rakshasa. Evil god. Chu Qinghuang, you are a madman. Thank you for the compliment. Chu Qinghuang nodded, I am working hard to become a demon that everyone is afraid of, a female Rakshasa, and an evil god. As for the madman. Chu Qinghuang looked at Chu Tianzheng indifferently, I think your roaring look is more like a madman. Chu Tianzheng was so angry that he was trembling all over. You shouldn't have come today. Chu Qinghuang's eyes showed a bit of pity. Chu Tianling, Chu Tianqiu and Chu Tianyan all stood still and stayed on the sidelines of the palace to watch. You jump out at this time, father. The first one will notice you and even get angry. Chu Tianzhen's expression changed, who are you trying to scare? My father loves my mother and concubine the most, so he will get angry at me because of this matter? You can only dream. Besides, why was he so eager to jump out? Because the person Chu Qinghuang was dealing with was the Ling family. The Ling family was his backing and the concubine's natal family. The other princes were naturally happy to stand by and watch. Who wouldn't want to watch their rivals kill each other? Chu Qinghuang is simply crazy, so crazy that she can no longer distinguish between friend and foe. She only abuses her power and makes enemies like crazy. Does she know how dangerous her situation is after becoming a public enemy? If she doesn't want to live herself, don't drag others into the trap. Chu Tianzheng was so angry that she lost his mind. Chu Tianzheng. Chu Qinghuang's eyes became more and more pitiful, you are such an idiot, so stupid that you are hopelessly stupid. Doesn't concubine Duan know what kind of thing her son is? How can I fight for the position above 10,000 people without any brains at all? I'm afraid of being torn into pieces without even knowing why. Chu Qinghuang Chu Tianzheng took a deep breath, but his face was still very ugly. Are you indifferent between us and the enemy now? General Wei Feng of the left has been with his uncle for more than 20 years and is the most respected general under his uncle's command. The right General Yang Dongli is my aunt's biological brother. Don't you think this is too much? Even if you want to establish your authority, you shouldn't do it at the expense of two families. They are rebellious ministers. Chu Qinghuang took a sip of tea and cut off his words slowly. Even if I don't kill them, my father will not tolerate the existence of rebellious ministers. Rather than be beheaded when my father confiscates the family and exterminates the clan, it's better to show off to the public than to use it to establish your authority. Chu Tianzheng said angrily, as long as you don't tell me, how will my father know what happened in the military camp? They are not rebels. Chu Qinghuang's tone was cold. Does concubine Duan know that you came to my eldest princess's residence today? It's okay that she didn't mention this, but when she mentioned it, Chu Tianzheng was furious. Let me ask you, did you say something in front of my father that made my father not allow me to see my mother and concubine? What on earth are you doing? What do you want to do? Only when the court is in chaos and the harem is no longer peaceful can you be satisfied. Chu Qinghuang closed her eyes and drank the tea in her hand, and couldn't help but said, it just wants chaos, the more chaotic the better. The 11th court has been suffering from abuses for many years, and the center of power is full of moths. There will only be a complete turmoil, and the party in the court will be eliminated for personal gain and nothing to do. Officials must cut off the power accumulated by the major families over the years bit by bit and replace them with loyal and capable new blood, so that Ziki can be restored to peace. If the powerful families continue to collude, not to mention that the emperor will not be able to use his hands and feet to do things. Even if the new emperor ascends the throne in the future, he will still be constrained by the power of the major families. Every time a new policy is promulgated, the interests of the powerful families must first be considered, otherwise the emperor's will be compromised. It will be in vain and it will be impossible to implement it smoothly. Chu Qinghuang knew the consequences of a weak king and a strong minister, so the long-standing shortcomings of the court must be rectified. However, it would be useless to tell Chu Tianzheng these truths. If he could understand, he would not do such a mindless thing as forcing his way into the eldest princess's mansion today. Chu Qinghuang secretly counted the time, hoping that the head of the Eng would be faster so that her ears would not continue to be tortured. Chu Tianzhen's quarrels annoy her, and she will be in a bad mood. Once she is in a bad mood, she can't help but want to ransack her home. I wonder if concubine Duan and her son can bear the blow of bad news one after another in a short period of time. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 154. Chu Qinghuang Chu Tianzheng saw that she was silent again, and he didn't know what she was thinking, and he became more and more angry. The Imperial Guards are coming. The Imperial Guards are coming, the long-lost voice of a baby girl rang out, instantly pulling Chu Qinghuang back to her thoughts. She looked up and didn't see any small animals or birds, but she was sure that this little demon spirit should be next to her. The voice sounded particularly clear, soft and tender, and very cute. Chu Qinghuang, what are you looking at? Chu Tianzheng saw that her movements were different, and he couldn't help but follow her line of sight. He only saw a blue sky and white clouds. When his eyes turned, tall and dense branches and leaves came into view, and there was nothing else. Chu Tianzheng frowned, and couldn't help but suspect that Chu Qinghuang was playing tricks again. The imperial guards are here. Chu Qing Huang retracted her gaze and reminded indifferently, I advise you to go back with them obediently. Your father may just give you a small punishment or a severe warning, otherwise. Chu Qing Huang, Chu Tianzheng rushed over, Your Highness the Fifth Prince. The sound of footsteps came hurriedly, and Chu Xuanyi's calm and cold voice sounded, the Emperor has ordered us to take the Fifth Prince back to the palace immediately. Chu Tianzhen's steps froze in an instant, and he turned his head in disbelief and saw Chu Xuanyi and the imperial guards with swords in yellow armor behind him. Chu Xuanyi waved his hand, and the imperial guards immediately surrounded Chu Tianzheng. Please ask the Fifth Prince to come back to the palace with us. Chu Tianzheng turned his head to look at Chu Qing Huang, his face livid. What did you complain to your father? Chu Qing Huang sat under the sycamore tree without moving. Her posture was leisurely and lazy, and she had the demeanor of a mastermind. Go back to the palace and explain to your father. If your father orders a caning, I will go to plead for you later. Chu Xuanyi and the imperial guards understood that the princess wanted the Fifth Prince to be caned. After they returned, they would truthfully report the Fifth Prince's offense and rude behavior to the princess, and they would definitely fulfill the princess's wish. So Chu Tianzheng was forcibly taken away by the imperial guards in such an embarrassing manner, and while walking, he angrily scolded Chu Qing Huang for being an unfilial and rebellious girl, an ungrateful wolf, and a lunatic. Chu Qing Huang didn't care. The more fiercely he scolded, the heavier the punishment he would receive after returning to the palace. Fu Kang. Chu Qing Huang put down the teacup, leaned lazily against the tree trunk, and looked at Fu Kang, who had returned from completing the mission. Am I too cruel? The master is not cruel. Fu Kang walked over, knelt down in front of the table, and poured a cup of tea for Chu Qing Huang. The master is the most gentle master in the world. Chu Qing Huang's eyes were subtle. The most gentle master in the world? She really wanted to know how he could say such an evaluation against his will. But Chu Tianzheng said that this palace is a demon god, a female Rakshasa. The master is not. Fu Kang insisted. Not what? Not a demon god. Fu Kang lowered his eyebrows. The master is very gentle. Chu Qing Huang raised her hand and rubbed her eyebrows. She was unworthy of the word gentle, and she really didn't dare to apply it to herself. If Fu Kang was not a person who was not good at lying, she would definitely ask him if he would feel guilty for saying this. But well, he thought she was gentle, probably because the original owner was an extremely cruel person. In comparison, her attitude towards Fu Kang was indeed somewhat gentle. Let's continue practicing the piano. Fu Kang was silent for a moment. Master, don't you want to search the Ling family? Chu Qing Huang raised her eyebrows. Do you want me to search the Ling family now? Fu Kang didn't say anything. His drooping eyelids concealed the coldness in his eyes. Thinking of the painting and those hobby tools found in Ling Jing's room, murderous intent resurfaced. The Ling family deserves death. His attitude was respectful and gentle, but his voice was as cold and poisonous as ice. Everyone deserves death. Chu Qing Huang raised her eyebrows slightly. Painting? What painting? She looked at Fu Kang thoughtfully, not ignoring the murderous intent emanating from him, and was silent for a moment. It's only a matter of time before the Ling family is searched, but most of the Ling family's embezzled proceeds are sealed in the warehouse. The warehouse has 8 doors and 8 keys. This palace needs to get these keys in advance before going to search the house. Ling Ankan is more cautious in doing things, and he won't be as careless as Minister Hong. It's inevitable that there are some talents who are good at mechanical arts under the generals, and the 8 doors are not so easy to crack. I will go get the key tonight, Fu Kang said, hesitating slightly. I just need Hong Yu's help. Hong Yu? Chu Qing Huang raised an eyebrow. He is good at soul stealing and can find out the whereabouts of the key more quickly. Chu Qing Huang was silent for a moment, and said meaningfully, Fu Kang, you know these servants in my backyard very well. Fu Kang was stunned and fell silent instantly. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 155. The fifth prince was taken directly to Yuqian Palace by the Yulin army. When he entered the palace, he was faced with the cold and angry face of his father. Chu Tianzhen's heart skipped a beat and his face turned pale. "Father, father." Chu Tianzhen knelt down with a plop, his arrogance gone, and there was no longer the rage he had just in the eldest princess's mansion. "My son, I know my mistake, my father listened to your explanation." "Urchin just what?" The emperor looked at him coldly. "Just moved your uncle's troops and affected your fight for the throne." Chu Tianzhen's expression changed, and he kowtowed. "I never meant this. Please ask my father. The emperor is aware of it. Please be aware of it. Yu Feng, tell the truth about the fifth prince's behavior after going to the eldest princess's mansion." "Yes." Hearing this voice, Chu Tianzheng suddenly raised his head and saw a figure dressed in black kneeling in the shadow of the screen. The man lowered his head and couldn't see clearly his expression and appearance. All he could hear was that his voice was silent and showed no emotion. The fifth prince went to the eldest princess to question her, and asked her if she knew that Wei Feng and Ying Dongli were his uncle's subordinates. "General, why did you kill the people under General Ling?" The fifth prince also asked the eldest princess if she wanted to rebel, and insulted the eldest princess as a devil, a female Rakshasa, a evil spirit, a madman. The fifth prince also said that the eldest princess was relying on the emperor to give her. With the little power he has, he does whatever he wants and acts tyrannically. I asked the eldest princess if she wants to be the enemy of the world. As he finished each word, Chu Tianzhen's face turned pale, his whole body went limp, and he stared at him in disbelief. Then he didn't know what he thought of, and kowtowed repeatedly. "Father. Father is aware of it, but I am just confused for a moment. I have no intention of starting a war with Kime to ask for guilt. I really don't have it. Please be aware of it." Chu Xuanyi, the emperor, raised his eyes coldly. "Tell me." Back to the emperor, Chu Xuanyi bowed his head and saluted. "When I went to the eldest princess's house to bring back the fifth prince, I happened to hear the fifth prince losing his temper with the eldest princess. The eldest princess didn't look good, but she didn't defend herself." "What?" The emperor closed his eyes. "Pull him out and give him 50 punishments." "Father," Chu Tianzheng looked up in shock, and the color on his face instantly faded. "Father, please spare me. I didn't mean it, and I really didn't mean to question Kime. Father, I was wronged." The emperor sternly shouted, "Pull out." The imperial guards hurriedly stepped forward and dragged Chu Tianzheng out one by one. The emperor sat on the chair, his face extremely ugly. Looking at the entire court, only Qing Huang can do things for him now. This stupid thing dared to break into the eldest princess's house to question and abuse him. He was looking for death. His Majesty the Emperor took a deep breath. "Chen Hai. The slave is here. What has concubine Duan been doing these 2 days?" "This." Chen Hai was a little embarrassed. "I haven't been to the harem much in the past 2 days. I only know that concubine Duan goes to greet the Queen Mother and the Queen every morning and evening. I don't know much about the rest." The emperor sat silently on the dragon chair, listening to the howls of ghosts and wolves coming from outside, and frowned deeply. "Concubine Duan has not seen Qing Huang for a long time. Well." Chen Hai thought about the emperor's meaning. "Then the servant will ask someone to invite the eldest princess into the palace." "Yes." The emperor nodded slowly, with a hint of coldness in his voice. "Qing Huang just suffered some grievances, let concubine Duan comfort her." Chen Hai's cheek twitched. Concubine Duan comforts the eldest princess? If concubine Duan learned that the fifth prince was beaten because of the eldest princess, she would be so angry. Why would she comfort her? Even though Chen Hai had been serving the emperor for more than 20 years, he really couldn't guess what the emperor meant at this time. However, no matter what the emperor meant, Since the order was issued, he had to obey it. So Chen Hai quickly sent people to the eldest princess's mansion with the emperor's instructions, asking the eldest princess to come into the palace to pay tribute to concubine Duan, and the mother and daughter talked about their inner feelings. Going to pay your respects to concubine Duan, Chu Qinghuang sat in front of the window, raising her eyes to look at the servant who came with the order. Her voice was indifferent and said, "Is this what the father wants?" The chamberlain who delivered the order did not dare to think about why the eldest princess did not call her mother concubine but directly called Duan concubine. He only nodded respectfully and replied, "It is indeed the emperor's wish. I don't dare to lie." Chu Qinghuang pondered for a moment and asked, "Has the fifth prince been punished since he returned to the palace?" "Your Majesty decreed that the staff should be punished for 50 years," the chamberlain replied. "The slave was still beaten when he came." Chu Qinghuang raised his eyebrows slightly. The emperor is really capable of taking action. If he knew that Chu Tianzheng was not his biological son, would he directly order his execution? Chu Qinghuang turned her head and looked out the window. Half a day passed quickly, and the sky outside had already darkened. It was obviously not appropriate to enter the palace at this time. After all, she had not obtained the key yet. "It's already very late," she said calmly. "Go back and report to your father, and tell me that I will go to pay my respects to concubine Duan early tomorrow morning." The servant was slightly shuddered. Although he felt something was wrong, he did not dare to correct the eldest princess's etiquette. He respectfully agreed and then left. $window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 156. When Hongyu was called over, his steps were brisk and his expression was excited. "Your Highness summoned me at this hour, do you want me to sleep with you?" Chu Qinghuang glanced at him silently. "What's in your little head all day long?" "It's all about your Highness," Hongyu answered fluently, with an extremely serious tone. "If your Highness wants me to sleep with you, I will go back and prepare. I will pick some flowers to bathe, wash myself fragrantly, and let your Highness ravage me to my heart's content. You and Fukang go to the Ling family." "Ah!" Hongyu's voice hitched, and his eyes turned slightly, looking at Fukang standing beside Chu Qinghuang. "What are you going to do at the Ling family?" "To get the key to the Ling family's warehouse." Hongyu frowned. "I am powerless. Chu Tianzheng offended me today and was awarded 50 court sticks when he returned to the palace. Do you want to be like him?" Hongyu's face changed, and he took 2 steps back in an instant. "I don't want to go with Fukang." "Then who do you want to go with?" "I'll go by myself." Hongyu scratched his head. "After I get the key, can His Highness pamper me more?" Chu Qinghuang didn't say anything. Fukang looked at him coldly. "You should be rewarded for your merit." Hongyu curled her lips. "Do you want to let others work in vain?" Chu Qinghuang pondered for a moment. "If you don't want to go, then I will go with Fukang dash." "Who said I don't want to?" Hongyu's face changed slightly, and he quickly changed his words to express his loyalty. "I am willing to go through life and death for His Highness, go through fire and water, and die without hesitation." Chu Qinghuang looked at him with a subtle look in his eyes, without any expression. "Who made His Highness a beautiful and kind fairy?" Hongyu curled his lips and glared at Fukang. "Let's go, you annoying guy. It's really annoying to monopolize His Highness's favor." Fukang bowed and left, and turned around and walked out with Hongyu. Chu Qinghuang looked at the backs of the 2 people leaving, sat alone for a while, and got up and walked out. It's been a long time since she came to Wutong Garden. Since Feng Jinzi was divorced, she has only come once, but she was stopped by Hong Yu and others before entering the house, because they didn't want her to see dirty things. I came here on a whim tonight, but I didn't expect to see such a scene. In the wide courtyard, lights were dotted on both sides. Shen Zongjin sat on a chair with his legs crossed, holding a whip in his hand, and said lazily, "Ling Xianu, crawl here." Chu Qinghuang paused and stood in the shadow of the courtyard gate, watching a figure crawling on the ground. Judging from his figure, he was already in a mess. It was completely unrecognizable that he was the eldest son of the Ling family who was arrogant and wanted to tame Chu Qinghuang under his feet. Judging from his appearance, most of his face was covered by messy hair. At first glance, I'm afraid even his biological parents wouldn't recognize who he was. He was crawling with his arms supporting him, he was really crawling, his wrists were weak, and his feet were still dragging heavy shackles. Every step he took seemed to exhaust his strength. Chu Qinghuang watched silently, his expression cold, not because of his overflowing sympathy, but just disgust. Those who want to humiliate others will always be humiliated by others. Today, Ling Jingruo is still the high and mighty son of the Ling family. He still treats human life as worthless, tests poison on the maids in the mansion again and satisfies his perverted hobbies in his special room. He even fantasizes again and again without self-awareness, making the high and mighty eldest princess crawl at his feet. So his current situation is entirely his own fault. Chu Qinghuang looked at him coldly as he crawled on the ground like an ant. She thought that the son of the Ling family, who enjoyed torturing others, should maintain the pride that the son of the Ling family should have when he was being tortured. She did not expect that he would be tamed so quickly and really crawl on the ground like a dog. Your Highness. Chu Ling Chuan walked down the corridor and saw Chu Qinghuang standing at the gate. He spoke softly, "It's so late, Your Highness, you haven't rested yet." Chu Qinghuang said calmly, "No hurry." Chu Ling Chuan hummed, his eyes fell on the courtyard, and his voice was indifferent, "I have nothing to do these 2 days, so I can do all the things that Master Ling has always wanted to do but hasn't had time to do. It can be regarded as fulfilling his wish before he dies." He paused, "The picture is not very good, Your Highness, please don't look at him." Chu Qinghuang was indeed not interested in looking at him. His eyes fell on Shen Zongjin, "You don't have to waste too much energy on him. When you're done playing, just get rid of him and send the body to the Ling family. Don't dirty my mansion." "Yes." Chu Ling Chuan nodded, his eyes fell on Chu Qinghuang's face, "Your Highness." Is Fu Kang out on a mission?" Chu Qinghuang nodded, Chu Ling Chuan was silent for a moment, "Your Highness seems to be a little special to him." Chu Qinghuang looked at him, "What do you want to say?" "If Your Highness likes him," Chu Ling Chuan hesitated, "I'm afraid his identity will be a problem." Chu Qinghuang looked at him expressionlessly, "You think too much." Chu Ling Chuan. Did he misunderstand? Like. Chu Qinghuang frowned and walked back to Dongshang Pavilion alone. She kept thinking about these 2 words in her heart until Fu Kang came back and handed her the key. She came back to her senses. Looking at Fu Kang's handsome and gentle face, she thought to herself that Fu Kang was just her shadow guard, loyal to her, and she gave him her trust. How could she like him? After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 157. Early the next morning, after breakfast, Chu Qinghuang went into the palace to pay his respects to concubine Duan. Concubine Duan was sitting on the brocade couch with a sluggish look on her face. Even her exquisite makeup could not hide her paleness and haggardness. Her brows and eyes were gloomy, and she had completely lost her former concubine's demeanor. Seeing Chu Qinghuang come in, concubine Duan's eyes suddenly turned sharp and cold, and her flawlessly white jade hands clenched the handkerchief tightly, as if she wanted to crush the handkerchief into pieces. Staring silently at the cold and beautiful girl in front of her, concubine Duan's eyes were filled with color. After being silent for a long time, she said coldly, "Qing Huang, are you my daughter who was born in 10 months of pregnancy?" Chu Qinghuang's expression was indifferent. "Do you think of me as your daughter who was born in 10 months of pregnancy?" Concubine Duan seemed to have been poked in a sore spot, and she burst out, "No matter whether I regard you as my daughter or not, you were born in my 10-month pregnancy. I worked hard to give birth to you, and you don't want to, that's all, but you want to repay kindness with hatred. Are you still an ungrateful white-eyed wolf?" Chu Qinghuang looked at her hysterically out of control with cold eyes. Her face was indifferent and distant, as if the woman in front of her had nothing to do with her. "In fact, it really doesn't matter." Concubine Duan took a deep breath and restrained her out of control emotions. "Tianzheng was punished by your father with 50 imperial rods last night, and he is still unconscious. Don't you have anything to say? He asked for it when he was punished, didn't he?" After Chu Qinghuang finished speaking, he frowned and thought for a moment before giving a more pertinent evaluation. "Chu Tianzheng is stupid. Maybe you have protected him too well these years. No, he still doesn't know the dangers of the world. As the saying goes, spoiling a child is like killing a child, especially if he is born in an emperor's family. He is destined to not live long with such an impulsive and stupid temper. Just like Chu Qinghuang before. The original princess actually had a similar temperament to the fifth prince Chu Tianzheng. They were both impulsive, irritable, and brainless people. The only difference was that Chu Qinghuang was naturally stronger in martial arts, which was more helpful for her to vent her temper. If the two brothers and sisters are similar in temperament to concubine Duan, then we can probably draw the conclusion that the rise of the Ling family and concubine Duan's favor more than 20 years ago are really just good luck. It's just that when luck always runs out, and there is no ability to support luck, then running out of luck is their destined ending. Shut up, concubine Duan suddenly stood up and pointed at Chu Qinghuang. If it weren't for you, a rebellious girl who always goes against me, how could Tianzheng be punished so severely? You are the lone star of Tianxia. If I had expected this day, I should have drowned you in the water when you were born." Chu Qinghuang looked at her angry look indifferently, with a trace of pity in his eyes. "That's really a pity. Now even if you want to drown me, I'm afraid you can't do it." Concubine Duan was so angry that her chest heaved violently. "Chu Tianzheng has never treated me as a sister, so I will not treat him as a brother," Chu Qinghuang said calmly. "Just like you have never treated me as a daughter, you should not blame me today. I don't think of you as my mother." "Nonsense," concubine Duan retorted sternly. "What did I do wrong to you before?" Chu Qinghuang ignored her words and said directly, "You should blame yourself. Originally, I had no enmity with the Ling family, so I wouldn't be an enemy of them. It's a pity that you don't have the responsibility of a mother and are selfish. Actually wanted to take control of me, and even wanted to marry me to Ling Jing. Does concubine Duan know who your favorite nephew Ling Jing is?" Concubine Duan's face suddenly changed. "He dared to be so rebellious that he tried to tame me, turning me from the aloof eldest princess into a slave girl at his feet." Chu Qinghuang looked at her with pity. "Isn't this asking for death? Even the gods can't save him." Concubine Duan's face turned pale. "Impossible. It's impossible, and it's not you who has the final say," Chu Qinghuang said. "From the moment Ling Jing had such dirty thoughts towards me, it was destined that the Ling family would not end well. If concubine Duan wants to have a good rest of her life, from today on, don't expect Chu Tianzheng to fight for the throne, and don't expect to ask for mercy to save the Ling family. I will not let go of a family with disloyal intentions." After saying this, she said coldly, "I already have a lot of evidence in my hands, which is enough to prove that the Ling family is self-reliant and greedy, which is a taboo of the emperor." Concubine Duan's face changed drastically. "What did you say?" I just came here to tell you today that I will check the Ling family soon. Chu Qinghuang nodded slightly. Please take care of yourself. After saying that, she turned around and left without looking back, her slender back looking cold and ruthless, showing a sense of determination. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 158. Chu Qinghuang, concubine Duan's face changed suddenly and she shouted quickly, "Someone, stop her! Stop her quickly!" The eunuchs and maids from Ganquan Palace appeared in a swarm. They all stopped in front of Chu Qinghuang, knelt down and said, "I beg the eldest princess to stay." Chu Qinghuang looked at the scene in front of him, his eyes as cold as frost. "Chu Qinghuang, you are so presumptuous," concubine Duan shouted sternly, speaking very fast, and she could hear her anxiety. "I am your mother, the Ling family is your uncle, we are your real relatives, why do you have to be at odds with the Ling family? You are now the eldest princess, with unparalleled dignity, and everyone in the court is afraid of you. But if the Ling family loses power and this palace loses favor, do you think you, the eldest princess, can still be so majestic and majestic? The family, mother, and children have always been prosperous and devastated." Her tone was urgent and she spoke very quickly, without even a pause. After so many years of favoring her, this was probably the first time concubine Duan had lost her temper in a real sense, and was even afraid. Chu Qinghuang turned her head and looked at her calmly. "I don't want to get into trouble with anyone, I just do what I want to do." Concubine Duan has not noticed any changes in her daughter for so long, and she still dares to talk about it. What a mother-daughter relationship, don't you feel blushing? Concubine Duan was shocked. "What did you say? I am not your daughter, so of course there is no need to worry about mother-daughter love," Chu Qinghuang said calmly. "In other words, even your own daughter probably has no feelings for a mother like you. In your eyes, apart from the position of son and crown prince, there is no room for anything else." Concubine Duan's face was livid and her eyes were cold. "In order to please your father, you don't even recognize your own mother." "I don't have to please anyone." Chu Qinghuang turned and walked out. "Chu Qinghuang," concubine Duan shouted fiercely, "whether Chu Tianqiu becomes the emperor or Chu Tianling wins the throne, they will not let you go. If you even deal with your own uncle, you will definitely not end well. You will definitely not end well." The last tone was harsh, no, as vicious as a curse. Chu Qinghuang's left ear went in and the right ear went out, and he walked out of Ganquan Palace and walked towards the palace gate without looking back. Chu Tianqiu, Chu Tianling? Whether they will let her go or not will have to wait until they become emperors. After walking out of the palace gate, Chu Qinghuang met Ling Yan, the legitimate son of the Ling family. The other person looked at Chu Qinghuang with a cold expression, and his eyes were full of disgust and hostility. However, when he walked in front of Chu Qinghuang, he forced himself to salute. "Your Majesty, see Her Royal Highness the eldest princess. Her Royal Highness the eldest princess is 1,000 years old." The last sentence, 1,000 years ago, gritted his teeth and emphasized his tone, which sounded a bit sarcastic. Chu Qinghuang's tone was indifferent. "Master Ling appears here at this time. Is he trying to create a chance encounter with me, or does he have to come to the palace for something?" Ling Yan's tone was serious. "I went to the eldest princess's mansion yesterday to ask for an audience with His Highness, but was stopped outside the gate by the guard commander of the princess's mansion, so when you heard that I was entering the palace to pay my respects to concubine Duan today, you couldn't wait to meet her by chance." Chu Qinghuang raised her eyebrows lightly. "The Ling family has good eyesight, and they even dare to keep an eye on my whereabouts." "Your Highness," the eldest princess Ling Yan clenched his hands into fists and spoke in a courteous but gloomy tone, "Concubine Duan is your mother, the Ling family is concubine Duan's natal family, and the fifth prince is your biological brother, the Ling family, and your Highness is your own person. Why do you want to go against the Ling family? What good will this do to you?" So the legitimate son of the Ling family can be so arrogant that he belittles me in public, and even swears to tame me into a slave girl, Chu Qinghuang said in a cold tone. Is this your attitude towards your own people? Ling Yan's expression changed. I didn't. Who gave you the courage and arrogance? Ling Yan's face was green and white, and he looked uneasily at the imperial guards on duty at the palace gate. After a moment, he lowered his voice and said, I apologize to Ling Jing and Her Royal Highness the eldest princess. If they want to be beaten or killed, it is all up to the eldest princess to make the decision. It's just the emperor. The trust in the Ling family has increased in the years, and concubine Duan has always been favored by her. If the eldest princess insists on going against the Ling family, something happens to the Ling family, which will inevitably affect concubine Duan. By then, the status of the eldest princess may not be preserved. Come on. Concubine Duan said so, and so do you, Chu Qinghuang said coldly. I really want to see if I can keep my position as the eldest princess if the Ling family is destroyed. After finishing her words, she said coldly, Fukang. My subordinate is here. Take my 3,000 imperial guards and follow me to search the Ling family immediately. Chu Qinghuang jumped onto the horse neatly, holding the reins in both hands, with a noble and awe-inspiring posture. Anyone who dares to obstruct my handling of the case will be killed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 159. The words fell to the ground like a thunderbolt, causing Ling Yan's expression to change in shock. He was about to say something when he saw Chu Qinghuang turning the horse's head coldly, flicking the whip, and galloping away in an instant. Ling Yan had an ominous premonition in his heart and did not dare to delay for a moment. He quickly got on his horse and chased after him. Because they were well prepared, the 3,000 imperial guards rushed outside the Ling family gate after receiving the order. Their uniform yellow armor made people intimidated and did not dare to make mistakes. What are you doing? Mrs. Ling looked at the battle in front of her and was shocked. Your Highness, the eldest princess, what are you doing? Chu Qinghuang sat upright on the horse and looked down at the people of the Ling family who came out. I have brought the guards to handle the case. Anyone who dares to obstruct it will be regarded as resisting the decree. After finishing speaking, he raised his hand and waved, Search. Stop. Ling Yan galloped over on his horse and shouted sternly, Why does Her Majesty, the eldest princess, come to search the Ling family? You said you are resisting the edict, but I want to know where the edict is. Search your home. Mrs. Ling's expression suddenly changed and her face turned pale. Ling Yan, have you seen these 3,000 imperial guards behind me? Chu Qinghuang pointed behind him coldly. These are the imperial guards. I asked them to ransack the house, which represents the emperor's wishes. Do you dare to resist? Purpose. Ling Yan gritted his teeth. You are the eldest princess and you can do whatever you want. The Ling family is loyal. Why do you? I have a mountain of ironclad evidence in my hands. Chu Qinghuang was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and ordered coldly, Search. The guards in bright yellow armor firmly blocked all the entrances and exits of the Ling family. After hearing the order, a group of guards forcefully broke into the door. Ling Yan flew off his horse and said, Who dares? A figure passed by like lightning. Ling Yan, who was about to stop the guards from handling the case, was knocked away by a strong palm before he could see the figure clearly. Bang! His body fell heavily and landed on the hard bluestone floor, and his internal organs seemed to shift instantly. Poof! A mouthful of blood spurted out. Yan'er, Mrs. Ling was shocked and rushed forward to help him up, her voice trembling with fear. Yan'er, how are you? Ling Yan's face was pale, and the bloodshot eyes at the corners of his mouth were shocking. Your Highness, The eldest princess, has gone too far. Mrs. Ling stood up and looked sharply at Chu Qinghuang, who was sitting on the horse. The military power of the Ling family has been given to you. My master has been loyal to the country and the people. He has been the emperor for so many years. Everyone respects the Ling family, but you actually dare to, you are so arrogant and lawless. A burst of rapid and messy footsteps came from inside the door. Ling Ankan walked out with the help of his servants and looked up at Chu Qinghuang angrily. What do you want, eldest princess? The Ling family is not a place where you can do whatever you want. I am indeed used to doing whatever I want, Chu Qinghuang said indifferently. Since I am here today, I have no intention of returning empty-handed. If I disturb General Ling, please forgive me. After saying that, he said coldly, Fu Feng, take them into search. I wonder who dares, Ling Ankan said in a deep and angry tone, weak but majestic. Guards will guard the front yard for me. Who dares to break into Ling's house today? Don't blame me for being rude. Fu Feng, Fuiying, Chu Qinghuang said with a cold tone, if you dare to delay again, you will commit suicide and apologize. As soon as the words fell, 4 figures cut their way out like a gust of wind. All the guards in front of them were knocked to the ground by a strong gust of wind, and the sound of bang 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 was heard endlessly. Ling Ankan's face was livid, he was frightened and angry, and his whole body was shaking with anger. Come here, he roared, almost exhausting all his strength, go to the palace immediately to invite the emperor, and invite all civil and military officials to come and take a look. Is this the behavior of the eldest princess of 11 Qi? I want to see if the emperor is serious, indulging the eldest princess to be ridiculous and lawless. As soon as the words fell, his heart hurt sharply, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Cough cough cough. Master! Master! Mrs. Ling rushed over, almost exhausted mentally and physically. The eldest princess is really too much, too much. Is there any royal law for this? Huh? Chu Qinghuang's eyes were slightly cold. General Ling, it's better to save some strength. Don't yell, it will lose the majesty of the head of the family. Chu Qinghuang, you are going too far. Mrs. Ling turned around and glared. Even if the emperor wants to punish the Ling family, there should be a reasonable charge. Why do you bring people to search the Ling family? The Ling family has a prominent family, first class. The general's residence is not a place where you can act recklessly. After the divorce, the princess was forced to raise a sickly villain. Author, Nan Huang. Chapter 160. Chu Qinghuang frowned. Everyone in the Ling family is deaf? Why? Everyone knows why and asks why. She said the evidence was conclusive, so why did she ask? The 3,000 imperial guards wore yellow armor, which represented the privileges granted by the emperor. In any case, as long as she had evidence, ransacking the house was an act permitted by the imperial edict. I asked her again and again why. Chu Qinghuang said she was tired. General Ling and Mrs. Ling, please be patient, Chu Qinghuang said coldly. I have the authority to search official residences with the permission of the emperor, but I will not be so arrogant that I can copy whoever I want. Since if you come to search your home, you must have enough evidence. Evidence? Ling Ankan's tone was cold and furious. If Her Royal Highness the Princess really has evidence, she should present the evidence to the emperor first, instead of acting privately, treating the court laws as decoration, acting arbitrarily and without regard for the emperor. Didn't General Ling send someone to invite the emperor? Chu Qinghuang raised an eyebrow. I didn't stop you, which proves that I am not afraid of the emperor, knowing that even if the emperor and all the civil and military officials are here, I can let everyone. People are convinced. Ling Ankan was so angry that his blood flowed backwards, and he couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. A strong anger will hurt your body. General Ling's body has not yet recovered. Please take good care of yourself. Chu Qinghuang frowned. After all, I have been in charge of the military for 20 years, How can I be so uncontrollable? The true style of a general is the collapse of Mount Tai. General Ling's calm expression is obviously not enough. Ling Ankan swayed and pointed at Chu Qinghuang tremblingly, you. Chu Qinghuang's face was as dark as water, her figure was slender and tall, and she sat as firmly as a rock on the horse. She no longer paid attention to the angry shouts of the Ling family and waited in silence. Time passed little by little. Mrs. Ling ordered her servants to bring a chair, helped Ling Ankan sit down on the chair, and asked the doctor to come over. Ling Ankan drank a cup of tea and gradually calmed down, his expression cold and gloomy. Search it? He just waited to see what she could find. Later, the emperor and the civil and military officials arrived here. If Chu Qinghuang could not find any evidence of guilt, he would definitely ask the emperor to give him an explanation. The Ling family would not tolerate such humiliation by a princess. Chu Qinghuang glanced at Ling Ankan lightly, the corners of his lips slightly raised, and his expression was indifferent. Humiliation and practice? She has no interest in humiliating or mistreating anyone. She is just a minister who should be a minister. If she has undue dissatisfaction, takes the emperor's favor for granted, or is arrogant and has a transgressive heart, then she is committing suicide. Nothing can save him. What? The eldest princess led the imperial army to surround the Ling family. The morning court had not yet ended. The emperor and the civil and military officials were discussing matters in the main hall. When they heard the report from the Ling family guards, the expressions of everyone in the court suddenly changed. This is ridiculous, Ding Yushi angrily said. General Ling has outstanding merits, and his contribution lies in the country. How can the eldest princess insult him like this? Feng Xiang's eyes are narrow and his expression is deep. The eldest princess raided the Ling family. Your Majesty, an official from the Ling family said indignantly, General Ling has been loyal for so many years, and all the officers and soldiers under his command admire General Ling for his loyalty to the emperor and his people. The eldest princess's behavior will definitely chill the hearts of the officers and soldiers. Please let the emperor make the decision. Absolutely ridiculous. She even took action against her own uncle. Has she ever considered the feelings of her mother and concubine? Your Majesty, we must not chill the hearts of our soldiers. Ding Yushi began the impeachment sonorously. The emperor relies on benevolence to govern the country, but the eldest princess has completely destroyed the emperor's benevolence in just over a month, making people think that force is everything, and that relying on force is all you can. Act arrogantly, but over time, the civil servants will become frightened. How can you govern for your Majesty? Her Royal Highness the eldest princess is too overbearing and goes too far. I beg the emperor to take back His Royal Highness the power of the eldest princess, otherwise there will be chaos in the court, and the people of the imperial city family will be in panic, and the consequences will be disastrous, Your Majesty. The ministers of the Ling family knelt down one after another. Please make the decision, Your Majesty. His Majesty the Emperor was sitting on the dragon throne, listening to the words of the ministers. They were all role models of loyal ministers who were heartbroken and worried about the country and the people. He almost couldn't bear to hurt him. Everyone is safe. The Emperor frowned. Qinghuang is indeed outrageous. When the ministers heard that there was something going on, they cried even harder, begging the Emperor, for the sake of the country and the country, never let the eldest princess take over the military power and act arbitrarily, otherwise the country would be ruined and the consequences would be unpredictable. Only Chu Qinghuang could not be killed. Said to be a demon concubine who brought disaster to the country and the people. Among the wailing, only Chu Tianling frowned. Shouldn't Chu Qinghuang lead the Silver Armor Army to Jinghu Mountain to quell the rebellion today? Why didn't she order troops in the military camp at this time, but she had time to raid General Ling's mansion?